Hello, everyone. Well, welcome to the Foodeshow. Today, we'll be discussing multicultural branding, and with us, two wonderful ladies. Cecilia Jenis is from Costa Rica. Hi, Cecilia.
Hello, how are you all?
Very good. And we have Corine Ajinka from France, and we will want to know what's your stories. I don't want to introduce you. I would like you to introduce yourself, and please do share with us your story. To you, Cecilia.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Hello, Corine, and hello, Hilda. First of all, I would like to thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And it's an honor to be part of this international and virtual foodie trade show, part of a wonderful panel today. So, to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Cecilia Jenis. I am fourth generation of a coffee producing farm in Costa Rica, Zalmarí, and I'm third generation born in Costa Rica. My great grandfather came in the 1920s from England via Jamaica to Costa Rica, and he was the one who started the coffee farm. We have been producing Arabica coffee for many generations. We have many varieties. Nowadays, we have new varieties, Obata, Marsellesa, Millennium, for to be stronger against diseases. And they are good producers and have good cupping grades. That is what's very important, to have good quality coffee. About 55 years ago, my mother, a very visionary person, very visionary woman, micro mill as well, not just the farm, but the micro mill. And with this, we were able to produce quality, do different types of process, what we call honey, washed, natural. That is what we do. We export green coffee beans to many different countries, United States, in Europe, Germany, Great Britain, Taiwan, different countries. So that is basically, I would say, the part of my story. And later I'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll ask you more about all this business model. Corine, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello. Thank you very much again to welcome me on this panel, and thank you for the Foodeshow. My name is Corine Ajinka, and I have the first thing I want to do is I studied foreign languages and international business, and I worked for nearly 20 years in the food industry, and then I decided to create my companies. I noticed at that time that most of the product imported from, let's say, Latin America to France were not adapted to this market. And the main differentiation I wanted to bring is to think of how to acculturate the products, the packaging, the brand, so that it can enter the French and European market perfectly. So that was the beginning of the story. And now we have imported several products from Latin America, from Honduras, Chile, Ecuador, and we are going to start with Mexico. We import, for instance, plantain, yuca, sweet potatoes, quinoa, and other products. And once the product is in France, we can re-export it in Europe. That's why the branding, the naming is something very important, so that the products can find its market in France and in Europe.
Great. So yeah, you can help me go through the transition. So I know that all of you have your own brand. How important is branding into reaching your markets? And if you have different brands for different markets, please do share with us what's your strategy in that. Corine?
Yes. When I started my business, I was working with a company from Honduras, and they had two brands at that time. The first one was Tio Jorge, and the other was Big Banana. And I realized that I couldn't use these brands to enter the French market because it has no resonance in the French market. So I decided to think of a brand that could fit the French market and the European market, and we decided to create the brand Pure and Simple, knowing that a brand is a promise that you give to your customer. And if I say, okay, my sweet plantain is branded Pure and Simple, that means that the product is clean and it's transformed in a very simple way so that you can use it simply, efficiently, and it's at the same time let's say good for health, sustainable, etc. So you have to think deeply of what you want to communicate with your brand.
Great. Cecilia, how was your experience with branding and selling your products under your brand?
Well, I think in our case, like we export green coffee, and green coffee goes to the roasters or importers, where in whichever country, under my farm name, which is Val Marie. Nobody knows what that means. So basically speaking, people receive the beans and they roast them and package them however they want and put the name that they want. But now we are trying to go into the market of roasted coffee, and we actually have a name which is called La Casona del Cafetal. And as Corine says, that's not going to mean anything to anybody in any other country. It actually means the big house in the coffee plantation. So definitely, I agree with Corine that we have to adapt to the country we're going to. So I think first you have to study where you're going to be going to. Like, for example, I went to Germany to sell coffee. Not only was it the branding, you also have to know of the people. We Latins, we love to talk a lot. We use our hands, we touch, we kiss every time we say hi and bye. And those are things that you have to learn because with many different cultures, you don't touch. And well, nowadays with COVID, well, I don't think we're going to be doing that for a while. But in any case, so definitely, Corine, I think is in a very good spot. I will contact you for France to help me get my coffee into France, and yes, we definitely need for people to understand sold, and we want to sell it. So we definitely have to learn about the country that we're going to be able to sell our coffee. In my case, yeah.
Great. I'm not sure if you guys remember that, but since I am a marketing major, I remember one model from the US to Mexico, and in US it's called Nova. And so when you went to Mexico, nobody bought the car because it says Nova, doesn't go.
Yeah.
So yeah, so yeah, that's one of the stories that you have, and the same goes for food. If phonetically it means something else in a different culture, if it's used in different colors in a different culture, it's not happening. Corine, would you like to share with us all the problems that you had once you had the branding done, and your first experience with when you were importing brands that did not connect with the market?
Most of the time, when you don't have this global the reflection, the global thinking of your brand, you can reach a certain type of market. Let's say the manufacturers, the food service could be okay, but once you want to go to mainstream market and to deal with big chains like Carrefour or Leclerc or Auchan, then it's a real problem, because the people, when they choose a product, they choose a promise and they choose a brand. So the main breaks for a brand arriving to a country is when it is not very known, when it means nothing to the targeted market. I would say these are the main breaks. On top of that, if the products at the same time is not known, you add several breaks. So you have to think of the products, the way you produce it, the brand, the naming too, because the naming is very important. If you say, for example, our products is called yucca, twigs of sweet potatoes. It's not the same of sweet potato fries. Sweet potato fries, you imagine something very fat. And if I say twigs of sweet potatoes, it's different on your mind. So your aim is to construct an image through the naming, through the branding. And that is, for me, the main challenge you have to face concerning a brand.
When I was in the production part of the food industry, and that we had a product that is going in different places, my biggest challenge was the labeling. It was just a hassle, because the more places you want to go into, the more you have to be, not only the branding was great. You know, the olives were well packaged. We were number one in the world selling that stack of olives. However, you have to make sure that you hit every country, language, and even barcode that is on the food to be able to sell to those countries. Cecilia, do you have any problems like that with your packed coffee?
Well, as I said earlier, most of my experience has been with what we call green coffee, which is the coffee that goes in sacks and in containers. So basically, the sack has my Zalmarie, and the which as I said earlier, the name is a family name. It's a combination of names, which only means something important to us. The logo does have three little coffee beans, so at least you can tell that it's coffee, right? And but like I mentioned, that goes and the people use it and they package it however they want. I'm going into now the market of the roasted coffee, and definitely learning here with both of you that I have a long way to go, because here in Spanish, I mean, it's the people know what it means, but definitely I'm going to have to try and I'm going to have to work on what you just said, Corinne, the branding, to construct an image and give it a name that will be meaningful to the people, something that the person will imagine and want to buy, you know.
I will give you tips.
Yes.
I'm glad you guys connected. So, Corine, tell us some of the problems that you're doing, mainly the European Union, right? Are you exporting to the European Union? So it's pretty homogeneous market. However, what kind of stories can you share with us regarding the branding, or the technical aspects of the packaging, for instance?
Okay, I will tell you everything that I can share with you in a few minutes. The first thing, when you want to enter the European and French market, you have to know that it's not a one country. Every country has its own expectations. So you have to construct, if you want only one brand, you will have to construct a brand that fits most of the European countries. First, you have to know who you are, what you are dealing with. For instance, for instance, which kind of farming you have. Is it, let's say, extensive farming or off-season farming? Do you propose exotic products, commodities? Do you do organic products? Because you will pick the important things on your side and you will present them on the European market. For instance, in Europe, we love organic products. We love that. I know that in US, they like to have kosher written on their packaging. In Europe, it's gluten-free is the trends, organic is the trends. You have to know how your offer will be perceived by the targeted market. Then, to go back to the packaging itself, you have to define how you want to be perceived by your customers. For instance, once your customers have bought your products, how do you want them to describe their experience? You have to be consistent on what you propose and the brand you will develop. You have to check legal information. So you can be helped by a company, like we do that, for instance, when we propose to work with a company, a Latin American company, we check all legal information requested. Then you have to check what are the further certifications and award that can add value to your product. Then you can choose the brand of the products and the naming of the product. And you have to add explanation of the products, how to prepare it. If you have some recipe, you can put it on the label. Otherwise, you have to put it on your website. And then you have to check the languages. If you want to start to export in Europe, you have to think that we have several languages, and all languages are compulsory. In France, you have to have the packaging in French, in Germany, in German. If you go to Belgium, then you have to have it in French and in Dutch. If you go to Switzerland, you have to have it in German and in French. So you have to think about it because it is a lot of space. So you really need to be to have someone near you to explain you everything. Because if you are from Costa Rica or let's say Honduras, you can't be aware of that. So the first step is to be to have someone near you that will help you to develop the appropriate labelings and packaging. And as Oda tells us a few minutes ago, you have to be aware of the color you will use and all the things you can't imagine them. You have to be on spot or to have someone who will be your eyes and sometimes your brand to help you branding your products.
That's correct. I'm gonna go back because I like to share that story. So we were branding olive snack, which was like 30 grams, 1 ounce back in the days. And when we started the branding, it was for 8 different markets. So we had 8 different languages. Most of the markets were US, UK, and then the French, the Sweden, Dutch, and all that. So we had 8 total. So we started exporting and then to the US, and then it wasn't scanning because there's EAN and there's UPC 15. And then when we started exporting to Australia, it wasn't scanning either. So you needed a different code to be able to scan. So that's the thing that you really don't think about it when you do a product launch, when you do the branding, when you finally figured out which color should be there and how big should be your brand to be facing the shelves and connecting with the consumers. But at the end, you got it wrong in some technical parts, even though you had all the mentions that are required from those countries. The story goes on, and then we decide to rebrand with the client, everything else, and then focus on the biggest market, which was the English and the American market. Added to that, you can do Australia. So we had two different barcodes, and we had the brand that is bigger, story about the brand, which was more to engage with the clients, which we happened to do. And the next step was, it was getting bigger on social media, and people wanted it in their countries. And we started putting stickers, sticker to go to Japan, to go to Dutch, sticker for that and for that, which increases your cost. So sometimes you have to be able to decide which is which. Would you like to go with brand engagement, or would you like to be price-wise affordable to go in all markets, or have a package that fits everything, which is a very hard decision to make as a producer or as a brand manager. Don't you think, Corine?
Yes, although I think that you can be very smart. You can develop, for instance, a dye pack. I will say a dye pack, a transparent dye pack, and labeling one label for each country. Then you manufacture everything in dye pack, and then you just have to stick according to the market. You stick the label that correspond to the market you wish to enter. You have to be smart, because most of us are only small or medium-sized companies, so we can't afford to be like Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola. So you have to be smart and put the money where it will give you ROI. Otherwise, don't invest in too much money for nothing. So
Yeah. I just want to let you know that it was a doy pack. However, it was a it was a doy pack. So for people that are watching us don't know what a doy pack, it's a pouch that actually has it can sit. It doesn't fall. So it's not a pillow pouch. It's a doy pack, which was originally the guy who did it. His name is Doy, and he's from France. Just for the history, and it was a doy pack, but it was pre-printed. Yes, labeling can be a solution to multicultural branding, but sometimes it's very hard to have labeling that's on different products. So Cecilia, my next question is to you, and I do understand that you have a problem when you do multicultural branding, basically having too many, let's say, agents to be able to get to the final client, and then the message doesn't go across as you want it. Something like get lost in translation. Share with us with your experience in that regard.
Okay, well, basically, my experience has been with the Taiwanese, and luckily, the one Taiwanese that is my contact, he speaks Spanish, so we're able to work things out. But he likes to bring he brings like 20, 30 people from different Asian countries around Taiwan as well. And they come here, they come to the farm, they love to live that experience of actually going coffee picking, cupping, and definitely we, it's a learning process mutually of how I have to treat them, respect them, and how they also get their information across, like how we communicate. So it's a challenge, but it's a nice challenge. I think I enjoy getting to know people and trying to get the information across, and I think they like it also. I think that's a big part of the exporting, for them to come to the country. Of course, that isn't always possible, and especially right now we can't travel, but I think it's an important part to be able to go to the country and for them to come here so that they get to know what the product really is, the coffee. I love, for example, to give ripe red coffee and put it in their mouths, and it's a shock for anybody and everybody because it's completely different from a cup of coffee. It's actually sweet, and it's all those things are interesting and nice. But of course, you have to be there. So if you can't, um, those a little bit more of a challenge to.
Great.
And nowadays that we're doing all this e-commerce, those are the challenges we're going to have to face. How to for the people to get to know what our coffee is really like and why are they going to choose my coffee over all sorts of other coffees. And that's the nice part of when they come to the country. They get to know the farm, the people. It's definitely a multicultural experience. Yeah.
So, Corine, do you think
I
cultural
want to
immersion?
I'm sorry. Just before earlier, when Corine was saying that, for example, organic or like that, we do. For example, we're not organic, but we're what my mom calls environmentally friendly.
Yes, that's good.
We do have some certifications, which the AAA of Nespresso of Rainforest, which gives sustainability and environmental take care, and also we have one that's relatively new. It's called Women Care Certified, which is very pro women to help them, empower women from seed to cup. So anyway, those are things that I'm learning with both of you that are very important to have for later for the package.
So, Corine, I
Okay.
was saying, do you think that cultural immersion is important? Like Cecilia said, bring in most of your buyers, because like you said, it depends. When you are B2B, you can do other strategy than when you're B2C. When you're B2C, mainly your package speaks for you, and when it's B2B, you have to find new ways to get into the business.
It's really a challenge because, as Cecile said, for instance, when I start to work with a company in Latin America, I see how it's cultivated, how it is transformed, and the challenge is to present that to the buyers. Most of the time, we would like to bring the buyers and tell them, come to see our field in Honduras and Costa Rica, but most of the time they don't have time. So you have to to be the ambassador of your partner company in Latin America and tell the buyers it is formed, it is grow like that, and there are certification. We saw that with our own eyes. We have to defend the products that we present. So it's important that at least your partner know your products, your company, your transformation methods. And the best is when you convince the buyer to come, to take the plane and to come to the country and to visit everything, the premises of the company.
Great. So if I want to summarize this discussion, and thank you, ladies, for being with us, is basically multicultural branding is a very complicated aspect of your product launch. You have to be extremely careful who you're addressing. Is it a food service? Is it retail? What's your business model? What did you have?
Oops. Okay, got stuck. Hilda, something happened.
Yes. There's a problem of connection.
I don't know what happened. Corine, so I'm going to learn a lot with you.
With pleasure, with pleasure.
Yes, we can talk later.
We are specialized in Latin American SMEs, and we help them to enter the French and European market because we know my partner is Mexican. So he's in charge of the relation with the SMEs over there. And on my side, I'm the market person, and I am in charge of developing the branding first, the acculturation, the adaptation of the products, and then we can come with you to visit